First time doing that felt pretty weird. Do you kind of agree?
It felt more natural than I expected, actually.
Yeah.
Was that your first time, Jeffrey?
With dagger work?
With that play in
Oh,
particular?
with that play, yes, very much so.
All right,
I'm
sounds
not.
good.
I don't know why they don't teach this to everyone. Like,
Yeah,
when
that's
I
what
got
I'm
taught
thinking.
knives, the one thing they told me is pick a body part that you're okay with losing, because that's what happens in a knife fight. Like, just make sure you stick them more.
it's a pity you
This,
weren't
I
around
was
for
like,
the,
this actually makes sense to use in a knife fight, and it's
Right?
you don't have to nail it perfect to get it done every time.
And also, that reminds me of something I was going to share with everybody. Something to remember, guys. When was the last time you saw somebody walking around with something like this? Right? Never.
I've been trying to bring it back.
Last practice.
I've been trying to bring it back too. I've been going later period like Bowie knife, but
Yeah.
Let me know
What if
you're
it's
doing
myself?
swords, man. I'll help you on that one. I'm all about it.
this is my concealed carry. So, obviously we don't see a whole lot of this, okay? One thing that you see even less is people training people to fight dagger like this, right? Why is that?
We don't wear armor anymore.
Oh, we don't wear armor anymore. We don't have extremely tightly woven gambesons that are our arming jack that we walk around with in all the time because it's nice and frilly and we spent a lot of money on it. But it's also made to protect your vitals in a common context, right? Mm-hmm. So yes, these were made and held this way because if I have a tightly woven gambeson on, this is not going to do a whole lot to my jacket, okay? Maybe if you manage to like whip something across my throat and you actually have a razor sharp rondel down here at the point, I can see that working. But you're also going to elongate yourself and people can capitalize on that, okay? So the reason why is because you need a significant amount of force behind something like this to drive it through that, okay? They didn't have Newton ratings back then, but they did have tests to make sure that something was tightly woven enough to at least slow down and arrest most thrusting actions through clothing, right? Or at least through gambesons of the period, okay? Period I'm talking is 1400s, and we're talking about the people who would be learning this stuff, which is mostly knights, to utilize knights, rich people, kind of on the same level depending on your time period. But essentially, wealthy people who are walking around outside of their armor, right? Do you have a full kit?
Mm-hmm.
How fun is it to walk around that from, 6 a.m. to midnight?
God awful. Especially if it's not strapped on right.
Exactly. And even when it is strapped on right, it's like,
Shoulders feel it.
especially if you're gonna go and like train, right? You're not gonna keep wearing that the rest of the day. You take it off as soon as you can.
Oh, it's like the Ren Fair right now. It's god awful. It's going on right now, and it's every weekend this month nonstop.
Is that which is that, Ogden?
Yeah, we're doing Ogden this every weekend this week. I mean this month. So.
This is why I don't like the Lehigh one. It's like one Saturday, Friday, have fun.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, yeah, it's a lot. So you are going to be walking around without your armor most of the time. It's not very maneuverable. It's not very fun when you bump into somebody else and they get like your freaking cooter in the side. Ouch. Right? So what is Chad getting at right now? I'm saying they are wearing protection. They're essentially wearing like bulletproof vests because they don't want to be stabbed and robbed because they're wealthy and that shouldn't happen to them, right? That's kind of their mentality anyway. So they are protected, and these were literally made to be easily carried around. You would often, just like a Bollock dagger, you would have it with your little satchel, easily drawable, easily killable, and that's why most of these murder techniques are done with a rondel and not with like a freaking longsword. Maybe he has like longsword against unarmored. I've never looked into it that far. He might. Okay. Sorry. Let me keep going. So you're not going to see a whole lot of slashing, like reverse edge stuff. It's all going to be point work. You are trying to drive this thing as far into their vitals as you can with every swing. Okay. If you were lucky enough or unlucky enough to hear my rant was that just last week? Was that just a week ago today?
That was last week.
I apologize, guys. It's still fresh. I talked about why you don't see that. Okay. Number one, you look like a freaking child. But if it's effective now, go ahead and do it. But we're questioning, is that effective? Well, number one, if I am planning to pull that thing back, am I going to actually plant it?
No.
No. What happens usually in a HEMA context, we have gear on, we have these, oh, you guys took all my rubber ones, but we have, this is even a bad example, we have these, flippy floppy, there's no danger here, right? We think, I'm gonna go batshit crazy and stab as much as I can because that's high success, right? No, that's not high success. We need to, just like in longsword, we don't do zwergnados all the time. You're gonna succeed once in a while if you do it correctly, but they're so easy to stop. Anyway, what am I getting at? Well, number one, there is a slight weight difference between these, right? And this whole fast in, fast out psycho crap, very, very tiring to do over and over, especially when you're in stance and they're doing it at you too, and you're just like, oh, you've both been stabbed 18 times, but none of you want to admit it because they were just light touches. That's not how we fence with dagger. That's not how they fought with dagger. If you want any proof, look at any of the treatises. None of them say, and if anybody pulls out their like cat fight moves, you know, kick him in the shins and run. No, these are intended to kill. I am trying to kill you. This is the single powerful action. You can tell because his dominant foot is following that strike, right? There's none of this, right? And it's not that either, right? He's trying to plant that, okay? Otherwise, there would be other things about keeping them away. But if you can reliably assume that they're going to be trying to slam that down into your body, then you can go for this power pose, right, and work from it, okay? One of the most important things that we need to remember in HEMA that nobody ever does is that unless something goes very, 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 very wrong, we're not gonna die today, right? When we're talking about training, they were literally training themselves to not get one of these plunged 12 inches down into their squishy bits, right? And there was a real fear of that happening to them, okay? Now, how would you like to be in the middle of your squirrely catfight fit when all of a sudden they do grab your hand and then they stab you in the testicles?
That would kind of suck.
Right, you'd be like, oh, I wish I was a little more like conservative with my actions so I could have responded to something instead of just getting stabbed.
Great learning
right?
curve.
What's that?
Great learning curve.
Yeah, your kids will never learn about it though.
But you get away with your life.
You might. This is very long.
A lot of arteries down there.
I know, there's a lot of blood. So, what I'm getting, oh, Jacob.
I was just saying, I was reading this report that there's over 1,000 stabbings with screwdrivers, which people probably would use in that way. And
Yeah.
so there is a chance. But I mean,
So in that case, don't catfight fence because it's unrealistic against
don't have
screwdrivers.
fence. Well, you probably wouldn't have a screwdriver as well. So if you were
Valid.
unarmored.
Okay, so
All right.
modern context, how to defend yourself against a crazy
So we
person.
just need to
Yeah.
need to put in some screwdrivers on all of these
That's
artworks.
right. Just like get a vinyl cutter, just like put a little screwdriver over the top.
Modern self-defense.
Yeah, so guys, I firmly believe that the ability to maneuver your body in strategic and powerful ways can only benefit a human being, okay? Whether or not that's trying to stop somebody from stabbing you with a screwdriver or generally not having knee pain in your 30s, it can help, right? So if that's, I know people where they're like,